Welcome to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Bell waiting on the snap, going for two. He's got it. He's looking. He's still looking. He's throwing, and it is caught. It's good. Baylor wins.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Plunkett on a straight drop back. Here comes the rush. Steps up. Can't find anybody yet. Takes off running to the left. Rolls on the move. And it's caught. Like taking the 40. It's over the 50. Hit the all the way.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Prescott to the end zone. Touchdown. It's another one for Amari Cooper.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, good afternoon. You just heard some football highlights. One of them is the Baylor and Texas A&M game back in the day. Sean Bell, quarterback at Baylor. Dominic Ziegler, the wide receiver. You know the story. In overtime, beating Texas A&M. And we will have Dominic Ziegler today at 3:30. He's now the girls' track coach and also the wide receivers coach at Killeen High School. Played a little bit NFL as well. Also, I saw this on Matt Stepp's notes today. The UIL intending to allow limited summer strength and conditioning workouts to begin on June the 8th. That's a Monday. Details and guidance to follow in the coming days. Good afternoon. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. I'm David Smoke.
I'm Paul Catalina.
I'm Craig Smoke.
And also with us today is running the mothership is Dylan Chapman. So that's what's going on today. We also have Tom Flores, who probably should be in the Hall of Fame, former Raiders quarterback, and also, of course, won a couple of Super Bowls as the head coach. He'll join us at 4. Mack Rhoades, 4:20. John Lane, 5:30. And Dejanay Carrington, a transfer. One for Kim Mulkey and the Lady Bears today from Stanford. She'll join us at 4:45. And I believe there's one other nugget we put in there that will be a part of today's show. So here we go. Mack Rhoades will be interesting. My first question is, so when did Ole Miss decide to release the story you're going to play on Labor Day and not Baylor or ESPN?
Yeah, we have not heard him comment on that yet. Ole Miss just had that out there yesterday via one of their websites, and I believe it was Rebel Grove who breaks a lot of Ole Miss stories, so they're well connected. But certainly it will be interesting to get Mack's take on the apparent news that game has been moved to a Sunday, which I don't think is Corona-related at all. This is just simply, hey, let's look at this first weekend, the best games that are available. We know we'll be loaded up on Saturday. How about we take this Baylor-Ole Miss game that could be intriguing, and let's put it on Sunday and get a bunch more eyeballs. So I think that's all that it is. And, looking forward to hearing what he has to say about it.
If it was Corona-related, it wouldn't move back a day. It would move back weeks.
Yeah, so this is a TV thing.
That is a city, though. Is Houston, I know the outskirts of Houston might be conservative, but isn't the city of Houston itself very much inner city Houston liberal?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty well split down the middle politically.
Are they going to have a problem with this? If, in fact...
Well, I doubt that there's going to be people there watching it.
That's the thing, and, of course, we'll ask Mack Rhoades that today at 4:20.
I don't think that we're going to be allowed to go as media to games for the first part of the year, just because that can lessen anything to lessen their exposure. We'll just watch it on television and do a Zoom press conference afterwards.
I agree with that, and I've wondered about that myself, on how I would feel if they were to say, hey, the media still can come, because what was it that we had, it was before everything changed, but I seem to remember something, the tournament in Kansas City, the fans, you can't media, we were going to be still going at one point. When the games had not been, that's what it was. The games hadn't been called off yet. And so while we were sitting there awaiting word, the last we had heard was, no, the media can still come. And I'm sitting there thinking, Well, that's weird. So, yeah, I don't know.
And you guys are a lot, as close together as the fans are.
Yeah, jumbled up and right next to the court. And, we're in the locker room and all that. So I don't know how that's going to be handled. That's something that I'm sure they're still having a lot of discussions about, but I am curious about that myself.
Here's a note, Craig, you sent me this, that Taquan Tyler, he was an all-district wide receiver at La Vega, and then went to Tyler Junior College, has signed with Boise State. Former La Vega Pirate, played at TJC, played wide receiver and safety at La Vega, was a part of the 17 and 18 team. He is now going to play at Boise State. So that's a local note there as well.
So they've dipped into Texas a couple of times here recently, probably more than I realized, but in Central Texas, they got the young man whose name's escaping me, the defensive back from Temple, who signed a year ago, and now Taquan Tyler, who was very explosive, very, very fast from what I remember at La Vega. And so, another TJC product from Central Texas. I think about JoJo Ward. He went to TJC and then went off to Hawaii, and now he's in the NFL as an undrafted free agent, and they've done pretty good about pumping guys out. So good for Taquan Tyler to, didn't get to go D1 initially, had to go the JUCO route, but he's a JUCO success story because he turned it into a Boise State, spot for himself.
David Gibson used to be at Waco ISD. He's the superintendent at Marshall, so it ties into the story. But even during all of this, Marshall ISD at East Texas passed a bond, and they're going to have brand new facilities for, I believe, baseball, maybe even softball. I'm not sure. I didn't get the chance to do that. But they also, you have these indoor facilities that a lot of people are trying to get. They're very expensive. What they're doing is they're building what will be an open air on the sides, but covered all activities, all sports pavilion, which you wonder if that might become a trend. It's not, instead of being able to, if you cannot put together the money to be in an all-indoor facility, but it's a big facility. It's going to be over there. He just sent it to me. I thought I'd mention that because that could be something that you see schools kind of go into, even though if it's open air and it's nasty and rainy and windy, you could still get some work done if it's covered.
Yeah, we see some indoor facilities that just have that garage door, on one of the sides that you can open up. And so I think I've seen some designs, who was it that had, I think it was Northwestern, had the spot on the lake right where their campus is, and they had that beautiful facility that they were building that was overlooking the lake. And I can't recall what their indoor setup was, but that was pretty futuristic looking. And I've seen some where, they have the side you can open up and things like that. So if we're going more open air and trying to be as outside and I guess have as much fresh air rolling through as possible, and an open design would make sense. It stinks for the teams who just built an indoor. They might have to start looking at redoing that already. But for those who were in the process, like Baylor, for example, with their football field house they're trying to build, this might be the perfect time to go and look back at those designs and say, well, hey, maybe we should do more of this open air look.
Yeah, here's the Marshall ISD AD football coach, Jake Greidel. He said they got a new softball turf, a new baseball turf, covered multi-purpose facility that's 120 yards wide, 60 feet tall, and the sides are not right there on the sideline, but, maybe a 5-yard cushion. So that gives them, and you could do that with all sorts of, not just sports, not just athletics, but also, I'm sure, with other things as well to protect you from the heat, to protect you as well from the, and I think there'll even be curtains. You know what I mean? You have kind of the separators, whatever you want to say. But that's a neat story. We'll see if that comes into play. Now, some great news and then some sad news today. First of all, Cam Heathcott, Edward Jones Investments in the Conroe area, is one of our newest sponsors of Sikkim 365 Radio. He joins Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Ben Erlinson as a new sponsor of Sikkim 365 Radio as we continue to grow. We appreciate Cam Heathcott for joining us now on Sikkim 365 Radio. And then this note, I got this today from a couple of people in the Midway School District. Sean Hunt told me this. Dylan Chapman heard this as well. One of the most ferocious high school football coverage, special teams, kick and punt coverage people I've ever seen is Craig Dawson. He made tackles after tackles after tackles, wore number 44 for Midway. Found out today that Craig's father, Craig Sr. passed away in his sleep yesterday. And just wanted to send our thoughts and prayers to the Dawson family, to the Midway School District, because obviously Craig at times would communicate with us because we said Craig Jr. a lot with his coverage and his play, and he played linebacker as well at Midway.
Yeah, I interviewed him for the player profile, and I remember talking to him, and that's just devastating, especially for a young guy like Craig to have to deal with that.
Yeah, Craig was, first of all, his first name's awesome. I just have to say that. And then second of all, I got to interview him a few times in post games because he made a lot of plays for Midway, particularly on special teams, as you mentioned, but also defensively. He was a very good linebacker for them. And just the stereotypical kind of high school comedy movie football player, just kind of like not a dumb kid by any means, but just sort of like football in a way. And I appreciated that about him, but really nice kid. And I came across his father a few times because, he'd point out like, oh, Craig was on that play, or he was down on the sidelines. And so he would point out sometimes because he was always listening to the radio broadcast, if we had called somebody incorrectly, like we said, hey, this kid made the tackle. He's like, no, Craig made that tackle. He would do that sometimes. And I don't remember what was the game that I interviewed Craig. He had made for some reason it was a more special night. I don't remember what play he had made, but I'd interviewed him in the post game for some particular reason, for something that he had done. And I remember talking to his father after that, and then talking about the interview and him wanting to get it sent over and how to do that. And yeah, he just loved his son. He loved Midway football, and he loved being at those games and being part of it. And so definitely a sad story today. And I really feel for the Dawson family. I just can't even imagine what they must be going through. So definitely prayers, sending prayers in their direction.
Yeah, that's awful news, and wanted to send our thoughts out to Craig and the Dawson family, everyone involved, and also the school district at Midway. Hey, we have Dominic Ziegler at 3:30. Jerry Edwards, the head coach at Harker Heights, is going to come on with us, Paul. This is an unscheduled interview because of the news that UIL is looking at opening up the off-season strength and conditioning workouts on June the 8th. It won't be full throttle, but at least there's another new opening or new change in direction, or at least something that might be happening. And that's kind of what we've been looking at, these little tiny little pockets of the good. So Jerry Edwards from Harker Heights is going to join us to discuss what it means. Because right now, no matter what, most everybody is working out on their own.
Yeah. What time for Jerry?
Right. Like next? I'm going to send you the number here in just a second.
I think I have it.
Anything for you, Craig? Or I'll give you the number.
I don't know if this is related at all, but I did see Shane Anderson from Connolly and a couple of other coaches. And I want to say, I guess they were reacting to the news today. I wasn't sure, though, because it was kind of a vague tweet, but it was along the lines of, I love it when people who don't coach tell me how to coach, basically. So I assume that and there were some coaches that liked it and favored it or whatever. So I assume that, while they're excited to get back, maybe they're not liking the way that it's being sort of rolled out or the way they're being told to roll it out. I'm not sure, but Jerry Edwards can fill us in on that here in a second.
All right, so Harker Heights head coach Jerry Edwards, he'll join us here momentarily. Dominic Ziegler. We'll have Tom Flores, won a couple of Super Bowls as head coach of the Raiders, and a great guy. I've been traded back and forth, some really nice texts with him. And then, in fact, it was interesting. I think Wednesday or Thursday last week, he sent me a text. He goes, "Oh, my God, I forgot all about what I said, no, it's next week. So are we ready to go with Jerry?
Yep.
Jerry Edwards, head coach. Also today, John McClain, Mack Rhoades, and Dominic Carrington. Janiah Carrington, who's going to be a part of the Baylor women's basketball team from Stanford, a transfer, who announced that last night on her social media page. Jerry Edwards, Harker Heights, with us now. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, David Smoke on Sikkim 365 Radio. Jerry, thanks for your time. What did today's news, if anything, how did that change, or what does it mean to coaches in general in Texas that maybe June the 8th strength and conditioning workouts, official type workouts, can begin?
Well, it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. We've been, we go on spring break and we don't get to see our kids, unless it's through a computer. And so today was a breath of fresh air. It means that we're going to return to normalcy, that there's a way and a path now planned for us to get back with our kids and athletics in general. So it's exciting knowing that, the first steps are being taken to get us to return back to, our fall sports.
Coach, how important is it also that it's starting to happen a little earlier than maybe we would have projected before, that you guys maybe only have to go through, 8-9 weeks of not having them and hoping that they're doing at least something on their own to now having them every day?
Well, it's great. And, we really don't know what it's going to look like June 8th, but I know that, going into a meeting tomorrow with the other Killeen ISD coaches to try to put down a game plan when the UIL does come out with, all the parameters that we will entail. But knowing that, now we have a plan. A lot of it was just sitting around. I think I heard somebody say there's like 2 million questions and no answers. And now at least we have an answer. We know there's a firm date. We don't know what it'll look like, but we do know that we're going to be able to interact and work with our kids again. And I think that's hugely important. I think, I miss the kids. I'm sure the kids are getting stir crazy at home. I was actually listening to a UIL Zoom meeting today, and we were having position meetings with our kids today. So I was able to kind of get in between the meetings and talk to our kids a little bit about and bring them some hope that we're about to get back to business.
Coach, has this been a bit more of a stressful time, just wondering about your kids because you don't have them around nearly as often as you would have under normal circumstances?
It is different. We've done a really good job of using, if you'd asked me this, 10 years ago, it'd probably be a totally different answer. But, with the way social media is now and your phones, we've been able to use a couple different apps that we can communicate daily with our kids, and then doing just like everybody else across the state, our Zoom meetings with our position groups and as a team and staying in contact that way. But, you can do all that, but you don't really know what they're doing at home, right? Mm-hmm. And so, it's not an everyday where myself or the strength coach and offensive coordinator or position coaches are standing right there watching them work out. And so, we feel like we've done a really good job of trying to keep our hand on it and provide them everything they need to be successful. And once again, you're talking about teenagers at home, and you just hope that they're doing something. But once I found out today, and I jumped on the Zoom meeting with them, I told them that we're going to find out who was working June 8th, because that'll be one of the first things that we do is seeing how they run. Indications look like it's going to start outside, so I would assume that that's going to entail a lot of conditioning, get our legs back underneath us.
Is there a chance, despite the fact you didn't have spring drills and there's no spring game and all of that, we've even had some coaches, and some of them are college coaches, that have said they feel closer to their team now than they have been. They bonded even more so because of what has been this unique and challenging time. Is that the case for high school players?
I think so. Obviously it's different than being with them each and every day, but we had equipment pickup last week, and just to see the kids and the smile on the coaches' faces and the kids' faces and the parents when they're dropping them off, coming in the building to get their stuff, it's just good to see and interact with them in a face-to-face situation. And I told them, I said, hey, they better get ready for a big old hug from Coach Edwards, and we're allowed to. And they close that 6 feet gap and hug their necks again. That's kind of what you miss the most as a coach, being away from them. But we have grown closer. Through our Zoom meetings, I've taken time and written some letters to some kids. The old snail mail, and just hopefully bring us. And we put out a challenge to our kids today to run our schedule. Look at the map, it's 321 miles between Harker Heights and all our opponents. And so as a team, we set out today to try to cover all that ground to get ready for the June next start date.
Coach, what is your, other than, who may be out of shape, do you have a concern about maybe guys not getting treatment on injuries, or maybe they hurt themselves over that and you haven't gotten to do anything about that? Is that another concern?
Well, no, the biggest concern for me is just to make sure that we can get back up to speed, just like, how it is at the college level and at the high school level here, especially in Texas. It's, football's a year-round deal. I mean, we never stop, whether it's off-season, 7-on-7, spring football, summer strength. It just can never stop. And so, we've taken a 9 to 10 week pause, and so, it's going to be, their routine is off, and, I'm a strong believer in routines. And it's just human nature to fall in a routine. And, and I myself and have done it myself, is I've fallen into a bad routine during this break, been staying up a little bit late, sleeping in a little bit, not eating as well as I should. And so it's going to be, I guess my biggest fear is how long it will take to recondition everyone, coaches included, back into our normal daily routines of, football practice, school, academics after school, just every little thing that entails to be successful on the field and in the classroom.
Jerry, one more thing, if you don't mind, is that it's May 19th. You would still be in school, and maybe you would be having your spring game even this week. I don't know. Maybe it would be next week. How much time do you need if, in fact, the offseason or strength and conditioning, whatever it is, opens up in some way June the 8th? You would normally start practicing the second week in August because you had a spring game, but you didn't. So do you feel like if it is open in August that you'll get that extra week back like those who are usually the ones underneath 5A?
Yeah, I think that week will be critical. Obviously not having spring ball, having that second scrimmage is going to be big for us. And getting into a smaller district helps too. Picking up, having 3 non-district games this year will help as well. But I'm kind of in a little bit more favorable position. I've been here for 7 years, so we're pretty established what we do offensively and defensively, and so the kids have grown up in the program, so there's not just a ton of teaching involved. It's just more so finding the right kids in the right position and group, which was what we typically use spring ball for. And so that'll be kind of the, I feel like I'm, I know there's new coaches, especially in our district at different schools that, got hired right before spring break and then they haven't seen their kids. So I think it'll be a little bit more difficult installing new offense and defense versus, a more established system that we've had here for 7 years that I've been here.
Thank you for jumping on, Coach. Thank you for your time. Good luck. And hopefully when things open up on the June 8th, you have a chance to kind of see who's been working out there and or not. And that's Jerry Edwards, head coach at Harker Heights High School. We appreciate him. That district now, of course, with Midway and Waco High moving north into the district from hell, that district is now, you would think that there's no question, Brian moving in, that Temple's a heavy favorite because that's a team they couldn't beat Midway. They could not beat Midway, and not many other people did. But remember, last year Harker Heights did when they picked off a pass at the end of the game right there at the goal line. All right, it's 3:22. One of the notes today on SicEm365.com that I've really enjoyed being a part of, and it's something that Jason King will send out to us, and it's basically a pop quiz. Today's questions, which is now in the premium section of SicEm365.com. These are just the questions to maybe help you think about it if you want to get on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, the Willis Law Firm chat room, or you want to just get on our Twitter pages at Craig Smoke, at Paul Catalina, at David Smoke. The most maddening football loss in the past decade. Who would that be for you? We're going to go over this later in the show today. The Baylor recruit that you were most excited about but never panned out. The Big 12, if they added 2 new teams, your vote would be for who? And the basketball player that improved the most during his time at Baylor. Paul, you have a comment, but there was no name. Is it Quincy Acey?
No, I said it probably just got cut off. I told him mine was Torian Prince.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he was on a couple of other names as well. And then also the CD that you love to listen to start to finish during long car rides or workouts. And I did one for the ride and one also for the workout. We'll hear from all of us on that. And it's up on the premium section of SicEm365.com. Dominic Ziegler, former Baylor wide receiver, now at Killeen High School, next on SicEm 365 Radio.
Allen Samuels presents the return of 0%. It's back. 0% for 72 and no payments for up to 120 days. Choose your car, truck, or SUV and get 0% financing with no payments for 120 days through Chrysler Capital. New Rams, new Jeeps, and new Dodge SUVs and minivans. Shop safely at our dealership. Shop and buy online, and we deliver test drives to you. Your friend in the car business. Allen Samuels Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas. Our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. In today's world, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less, sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. We even offer financing. Everything's included in the price, and more importantly, you'll not get a bill in the mail later on. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule an appointment safely from home, online in minutes at idealmri.com, or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI. And please remember to follow CDC guidelines and practice social distancing. Stay home, except for the essentials, and be safe, and together we'll get through this at idealmri.com.
Hi, this is Gerald High School football coach Amos Davidson, and I'm a proud listener and supporter of the all-new Sikkim 365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Bell waiting on the snap, going for two. He's got it. He's looking. He's still looking. He's throwing, and it is caught. It's good. Baylor wins. Well, David, looks like you were right. The Baylor fans are trying to tear down the goalpost. Could not tell who caught the two-point conversion.
It was Ziegler. Ziegler caught it. Yep.
Well, that's one of the more memorable wins in Baylor history. Anytime that they've been able to either beat Texas or Texas A&M. And there's other wins, of course, that are memorable as well. That was Dave South, former voice of Texas A&M sports, athletics, on the call of Dominic Ziegler in the end zone, cradling the Sean Bell touchdown pass.
So I had to take, and he should have done it. I mean, it's the right thing to do to let the crowd kind of take over in a moment like that. But I had to take about a minute of just straight applause and crowd noise out of that to get to it, because I wanted to hear the point to where Dave South and Tommy Tuberville, who's on the sideline, were so depressed and just going, Ziegler caught it. That's who did it. And they're just, I mean, I thought that Dave was going to jump out the window.
I know we've got Dominique on the line, but I'll just pass along quickly. I remember this as well, even though I had no Baylor affiliation at the time. I was with my A&M friend, Nick, a matter of fact. Yep. We were driving back from a weekend trip, or we're driving home from somewhere, and we were listening to this game, and the most improbable thing just kept happening, and I got to his house to watch it just at the very end, and he was not very happy that night. But a lot of Baylor fans were.
He's at Killeen High, wide receivers coach. He's also the girls' track coach. We also know he played in the NFL with the San Francisco 49ers. Young man born in Michigan, ended up at Baylor, and he now joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. I know there are a couple of different calls of that play. Is that basically when people think of Dominique Ziegler, Dominique, that's what they always refer to?
Yeah. I mean, anytime I'm in Waco and, I run into somebody that happens to recognize me or went to the game, that is one of the first things that is brought up, and it was a memorable moment then, and it is one now. Just because we hadn't beaten them for so long, I want to say it was like 17 years, and we kind of were happy to get that monkey off of our back, and glad to be a part of it.
When you hear Dave South be so sad, does that make you feel even better that you just crushed their hopes and dreams that day?
Oh, I mean, it really did. It's so funny that it's even A&M because I have a lot of good friends that I grew up with and played ball with, and went to high school with. A lot of those guys went to A&M, and they were happy to be at that game. A lot of them were actually staying at my apartment after the game. So some of them were saying they were listening to the game as they were watching it, and they could just remember it just being silent from their perspective of it, and then watching, with their eyes, and it's being crazy from, the Baylor side of it. So just kind of when I first got to hear that and hear them kind of explaining the situation that it unfolded, it was kind of funny just to see how it turned out.
Dominique, just taking us through, the two plays that you made there to help tie the game, then win the game, the touchdown, the 2-point conversion. Just what immediately comes to mind for you about just that sequence of events, how it unfolded with you, Sean, and the rest of the team?
Well, I mean, when we went down there and, we were moving the ball late and we kind of had that momentum the whole second half, I remember. And when we go down and score, it was one of those deals, where we're all celebrating. I remember Trent and Jay Fields and Terrence Carter and Marcus Beans, and we're celebrating. And then next thing you know, we run towards the sideline, and I see Coach Moore say, "We're going for 2." And then that's when it kind of triggered, like, hey, this is a moment, a big moment. We can go out here and capture something that this program hasn't done in a while. So just being able to be a part of that play and then being able to be a part of the 2-point play as well was pretty special. It was just a good feeling.
Was there anything said before that play? Was there much dialogue at all?
I think we were trying to just keep our emotions in check. Going for 2, you already know it's win or lose right here. So I remember a couple of coaches on the sideline just saying, calm down, just run whatever play Coach P calls, whatever he calls, it's going to be a good play, and let's just go out here and execute it. And the way, like I said earlier, we've been moving the ball the whole second half, and we felt that any play that he was going to call was going to be, a successful play. And then he happened to call my number again, and I was thankful for that. And, Sean kind of rolled out to the right a little bit and threw a great pass to me, and I just caught the ball, and the rest is kind of history.
Your teams, Sean and you guys under Coach Morris, probably, are not going to get, obviously, the accolades that the staffs that came after you will get out of reclaiming Baylor up to another level. But you guys certainly did raise the standard from where it was when you got there. Do you ever feel like people kind of forget about what Coach Morris was able to do and kind of reestablish the professionalism and the way that you needed to go about running a program?
Oh yeah, I mean, it definitely is an area that kind of gets overlooked, and rightfully so, because when you start winning, Big 12 championships, winning one game out of the year is going to get overlooked. But it's definitely, people know what happened during that, that 2003 to 7, whenever Morris was there, and did a great job of just trying to get us back on track. And we were able to get some of the local talent from the area to come to Waco, and I think that's where it kind of started. And then Brian just took it from there and then just went off of it.
What did you think of this past year, Dominique, seeing the Bears, win double-digit games, getting to the Sugar Bowl versus Georgia? Obviously fell short in 2 of their bigger games for the Big 12 title and the Sugar Bowl itself. But, I mean, all things considered, a pretty tremendous year. And now Dave Aranda, another coaching change. Just your thoughts on the Bears last season and, now this new frontier?
Well, I think they had a terrific season, to see the transition from, one era to the next and kind of having it, go downhill for the first season and then having a slight turnaround, that second one to a major turnaround. You kind of seen it coming those last couple of weeks of Coach Rule's second year there. But those guys, they just bought into the system, and they believed in each other, and they kind of got Baylor back to where it was, and it was good to see them, on that limelight, and especially those older guys that had to go through such a roller coaster college career. Those fifth-year senior guys who were part of the transition, and going back to 1-10 or 1-11 or whatever it was, and then being able to go out and play in a Big 12 championship, their last year is pretty good to see. You want those kids to be able to feel that.
There's some questions or comments to you on the Willis Law Firm, the chat room on Sikkim 365. This is from Eddie Middle B2. Looking forward to hearing from Zig. I don't think he could know how much he and Sean Bell mean to fans like me who followed Baylor since the early 90s and wanted to beat the Aggies so bad. I have so many friends and family that support that school, and I already had to put up with their trash talk. That win over A&M is one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, just hearing people say, those great things about you and your teammates is definitely an honor. We were just privileged enough to be in the right place at the right time, making the right plays, the ones that Coach called, and just to be able to get us over that hump. And now those kind of things are expected, being a part of a program where you're trying to get those valuable wins. So whenever they come again, it's not like it's not a big story. It's just this is what we do here. So that was kind of the turning point. And I'm glad that those wins happen for the program for a reason. But I'm glad that's not where they are now.
Dominic Ziegler with us at Killeen High School, and of course the wide receivers coach. That makes sense, and also the girls track coach. What was it like? You're not at your alma mater.
Yeah, I'm not at Harker Heights. Of course, my first year down here in 2017, people had kind of heard that I was coming back in the area, be teaching and coaching, and of course, the first thing that they said was I was going to be at Harker Heights, and it didn't work out that way. Wish them nothing but the best, but I'm at Killeen High School, and I love the staff that I work for with Coach Cersei, and we have a bunch of guys that I know and are familiar with, and some of the older coaches who coached me when I was in high school. So that familiarity, it really honed in, and it was easy to take that job there at Killeen High School. And we have two former Baylor players that I'm always talking with, and that's one of the Baylor greats, Maurice Lane, and then we also have Coach Venus, Marcus Venus. So being able to be there with them and growing up with them and being able to play college football and now working with them is definitely been fun.
Do you have any good Sean Bell stories for us?
Yeah, Sean, just, seeing Sean from when I first got there to his last year, is really remarkable. He kind of, opened up a little bit his senior year, and kind of let loose, and he wasn't worried about what everyone else kind of thought. He said, I'm going to go play football, and that's what he did. He had a great senior season. It's sad that, he kind of got hurt and had to go out like that, but, I still to this day, had not got hurt, we would have been going to our first bowl game, in that 06 season. But I don't really say a particular story other than, the A&M game, and a couple other games, but in particular, I just love to see how he matured so much, from his freshman to his senior year, and just seeing the progression that he made senior year was pretty cool to see.
How strange is it for you right now being a coach, Dominique? We just had a coach, Jerry Edwards from Harker Heights, join us a few minutes ago to talk about the news today from the state of Texas on perhaps the resumption of practices soon. How strange has this time period been for you?
Oh, it's been, about as strange as it is for everyone else. One thing that we're getting used to in this time of age is, we're doing a lot of Zoom meetings. So, today we had some Zoom meetings with our players, and we have Zoom workouts, just trying to, hold everybody accountable and, just kind of make sure that whenever the game is set starts, that we're not behind. So, just making sure that we kind of stay up with the times, and we're just trying to use technology, and we can't be, around each other, but we can definitely get some work done still. So that's good that we've been, staying on task and trying to make sure that when the season comes that we're ready for it.
All right, so I just got a text back from Sean Bell himself.
Oh, no.
A couple of things that I did not know this, but of course Mark Bell, his father, coached in Killeen, is from Killeen, that you guys played you played Little League, baseball together back in elementary school?
I was actually going to bring that up. I was unfortunately Sean didn't make his way back down to Saline. I wish he had, his dad had took that job whenever it was open a long time ago, because I figured whenever he was, interviewing for that job, I said, "Oh, if Sean comes down here, we were going to be a heck of a squad. I'm going to have a definite quarterback." But it didn't work out that way. But I got to play with him later. But yes, to answer your question, we played baseball growing up, and I think baseball was one of our first loves, and we kind of fell into football.
So what game was it in high school during the playoffs when you suffered like Michael Jordan did food poisoning?
Oh, that was that was after the Needling game. We were at the time we were ranked number 6 in the state, and we were I think we were 10-1 after that second round of the playoffs, 11-1, and then we ate some barbecue down in Bryan, Texas. We just got to Needling. And we ended up, it kind of hit us all at the same time. On a Sunday night, I can recall, my mom started calling some of the other teammates. And next thing you know, some of the coaches started calling. And I can still remember that so vividly. We had 38 players with food poisoning, 6 or 7 coaches. It fell on the week of Thanksgiving, so you're already kind of short with, practice time. And then we went and traveled. Unfortunately, the game didn't come out the way we wanted to. We ended up losing 25-19, I believe, to Lamar. But I think had we been full go, we would have probably gave them a better run for their money.
All right, last thing he mentioned is, but back to what we started with, Paul, the call. And one of the J-Witt BUJKW said, the clip of Bell to Ziegler and the 30 seconds of dead air is the most glorious thing I've ever heard in radio.
Hey, it's more than 30 seconds. It's about 40, and then there's like 2 little 10 ones in between.
But Sean said this, you guys completely flipped the game plan. Is that right? You just went no backs most of the game and said, let's just go backyard football?
Yeah, we started moving the ball really well when we got into gun. It's funny that we're even talking about this because my son, I have a 4-year-old son, Zakai, and when we go to my mom's house and sees all the Baylor stuff, and my mom had that Baylor DVD that was produced after that game, so he's seen it. And he's always wanting to see Baylor highlights now. Even to this day, he's like, "Hey, I want to see the Baylor highlights, but only when they're in the green." But anywho, we ended up going into an empty set, and we were hitting them with scat X and Z, and we were kind of just finding the holes, and then after that, we were just catching the ball and making plays with the ball. We would, split Anthony Craig out there as the 5th wide receiver, just to kind of see where the unbalance was in the defense, and we were able to protect some areas. And we started moving the ball really well.
That it? Lost him? Okay.
No, he's
okay. Hey, man, enjoy whatever you have in front of you. I know the UIL has mentioned that maybe on Monday, June the 8th, we had Jerry Edwards from your alma mater on to kind of what does that mean? It looks like at least there's a day or some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, as he mentioned. Good luck with that. Thank you so much for joining us and going down the trip down memory lane and all the things you've done. We appreciate it, Dominique.
I appreciate you guys having me, and wish you nothing but the best.
You too. That's Dominique Ziegler, Harker Heights, Baylor 49ers. And he, during the NFL career, he was up and down. He was released and cut and came back and released and cut. Finally stuck in 2010. He ended up playing 11 games with the 49ers. His last year was 2011. So he had a lot of adversity, but very perseverance motivated to stay in the NFL. All right?
Yeah, I remember, like I said, I kind of relayed where I was or what I was doing. And now that I've given it some more thought, I think we must have been coming back from some type of a high school game because, like a playoff game or something, because I remember driving back home on a Saturday from somewhere, had to have been a game, and then going to my buddy's house who was an A&M fan, and it was right after – because I was having to listen on the radio, and I was listening to the A&M Dave South broadcast, and then going over to his house after it was over. I remember that so vividly now that I've thought about it some more, and just what an incredible moment. And I had no idea, obviously, at the time that, some years later I would be covering Baylor and talking Baylor all the time. But back then it was just like, whoa, they never beat A&M. That is gigantic, like, holy cow. And I can only imagine what it must have been like for Baylor fans.
I was in Tampa. That was the last year before I moved here. I was in Tampa, and I went after work. Next door there was a sports bar, and a couple people from work. We went over to watch kind of the last part because we're going to late shift. Watched the last part of the games, and the first thing that comes up is Reese Davis. As soon as I sat down, said, like I caught the last part of the highlight. I caught that highlight and was looking at it and was dumbfounded. And I immediately walked outside on my cell phone and called my dad to see if he'd gotten home from the game. And he was so pissed
Was he a little upset? Just a little?
Because he was all excited because A&M was playing Oklahoma the very next week in College Station, and they were going to get College Game Day. It was because they were 22. They win the game. They probably move up to, 17 or so. And, with some of the other losses that had happened that day. And that's the best game by far because Oklahoma was very highly ranked. So here they are thinking they're going to get College Game Day. Dad was all excited. He was going to go down there. And then bubble was popped. Just popped.
I did have one other chat room question from JWIT BU. Please ask Ziggy about the staff's expectations, the 2015 team, and what could have been if Seth Russell had not been injured. Because that team was really good. Mm-hmm. Really good. And I just texted him that question. So, JWIT, I'll try to get that answer to you here probably in the next segment if we possibly can. All right, to reset what we have, former Raiders head coach and NFL quarterback Tom Flores at 4, Mack Rhoades 420. And yes, my first question will be, how come they didn't Ole Miss allow Baylor and ESPN to all be on the same page? But that's just good journalism by the guys to cover Ole Miss to get that game day or time out.
I mean, with all of the reporting that's been done on Baylor Ole Miss, I don't even care who's reporting it now. Just get the information out there because we went, 2 years with no confirmation other than it's happening. Can't tell you anything about it, and it's not official, but it's going to happen. And so we went through that for so long that, get the info out there.
And Mac had to just keep kicking that can down the road, but we'll have him at 420. And then Dejanay Carrington. It's a pretty neat story. We had Tim Brown on the show Thursday. That's her godfather. Her father, Darren, played in the NFL for quite some time with, I think, the Seahawks, I believe it was.
I remember the name, yeah.
And so she's going to join us. She's transferring to Baylor, another transfer guard. And she's from Stanford, played in California, was a McDonald's All-American, all of that. So she's going to join us at 4:45. John McClain also, David Hellman today. So we're loaded up. Hey, just a little nugget. You want me to tease one of the names tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Hall of Fame baseball star Andre Dawson.
The Hawk.
The Hawk.
I have 17 questions about his choice of hairstyle between 1982 and 1988.
He's one of those that I sent out a text, and then I did not hear back from him, and that's normal. These guys probably get a text, who the hell are you? And then it's interesting because I got a text back from him, and then another one from a Hall of Fame quarterback that we'll have on this week within 30 minutes. It was great, so we'll have Andre Dawson tomorrow. Okay, for JWIT BU on the chat room, brought to you by Willis Law Firm. I truly think had Seth not gotten injured, or Corey would have been in if I truly think that Seth not got hurt, him and Corey would have been in New York and we would have made the playoffs. His talent was so good. It's a shame Baylor Nation didn't get to see Seth for so many games. In other words, in New York at the Heisman Trophy as a finalist.
Well, my frustrating game was that 2015 Texas game.
That was mine too.
I mean,
that was mine too. Yeah. That was mine as someone covering Baylor. The Michigan State Cotton Bowl, TCU, and the pouring down rain. Those were the ones I thought about.
2015 had two of them.
That's the one that blew open the dam.
Yeah. Well, and that
was
no. That's 16. I was saying 16.
2015, they lost to Texas 23-17, and that was the final game of the regular season. Remember,
16 was the one in Austin.
Yes,
that's right. That's the one.
16 was when Jermichael had the turnover at the goal line. 15 was when. Who did Texas even start at quarterback?
Swoops.
Yeah, Swoops. And then there was the crazy links at Wildcat, but it was just too late, right? Just too late putting him in there.
I think
no way they should lose to that team.
That's exactly why I said it was the most frustrating, because if Baylor has one of their quarterbacks.
Right. They win that game.
Yeah. And because there was no.
Or if they would have just gone to the Wildcat earlier.
Yeah, because Chris Johnson was just.
He got his bell rung.
He got hurt immediately, but at that point, I think we had heard so much about Chris Johnson and how athletic he was, and we all kept wondering because we'd heard such great things like, well, why doesn't he play more? Okay, great. He's got really good players in front of him. And then he had the one game right out of the gates was Oklahoma State maybe, or that was Stidham I'm thinking of. But he had like the one really good performance and then kind of resorted back to and then got hurt really early in that game.
Yeah, the back-to-back years, 15 and 16 were awful.
Because
even
Johnny Jefferson had the fumble late in the game on the long run.
At the midfield, it's kind of like what happened in 2012.
They were going down to score and win that game.
I was doing
Glasgow fumble.
Yeah, I was doing sideline for Sports Radio USA for that game, and Texas they decided that they were not going to tell me about anybody who'd gotten hurt, including a guy I saw spit blood when he walked back over. I was like, well, I just saw him spit some blood. Is he all right? Just tell me he's going to come back in the game. And then I had to use Quan Cosby the whole time. Be like, hey, Quan, when you go ask him what's going on? Yeah. So the whole time I have to run over, and it was ridiculous.
You know,
we got to make up a break.
Okay, I'll come back with one more thing that I remember very vividly about that particular day.
Okay, we will come back, wrap up the first hour, brought to you by Waco Custom Marketplace. Don't forget now, order your live crawfish now and get it for the weekend on Friday. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It's been tough. Sitting in isolation, rarely getting out, neglected, unimportant, naked. Hi, this is Jay from Pickup Outfitters, and I'm talking about the forgotten casualty in this mess, your truck. It's been waiting patiently for you during this crisis, waiting for some sign that it's okay to get out again. At Pickup Outfitters, we believe that no truck should be left behind, and that it's time to reward your truck for sticking with you during these difficult times. So we're announcing the End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package. Benefits designed to outfit your truck so that it's ready to get out in public again, like free installation and a free rubber bed mat with every hard bed cover purchase, $250 off ranch hand bumpers installed, $300 off ARE camper shells, free laser fit front floor liners with every ranch hand grill guard purchase and install. And there's more. Call or come by our Pickup Outfitters showroom and help us make your truck feel wanted again. Or check out our End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package on our website, createacommotion.com/stimulus.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We are open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Live crawfish is back. The 30-pound bags of live crawfish, as delicious as you could imagine, back at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. $3 a pound, 30-pound live crawfish bags are available. You order by Thursday at noon. You can pick up your customized order anytime on Friday afternoon until 6 p.m. And the drive-thru now open at Waco Custom Marketplace Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can still order what you want from their butcher shop, including beef and poultry, seafood, and also pork. And, of course, their bakery. You can order from their bakery. You can go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, or go by the drive-thru. Waco Custom Marketplace, live crawfish available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6. Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to the water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, couple of high school football note here in a minute. We'll have Tom Flores coming up next. We want to hit him on time.
Yeah, I just wanted to pass along one memory I had from that 2015 Baylor-Texas game that it didn't dawn on me, because I just haven't thought about that in so long, but it didn't dawn on me one particular part until we started talking about it. I sat next to the late Sean Adams that day. He was set up next to me, and I had met Sean a couple of times before that. I think I'd maybe done his radio show once before, and I know you were real close with, or you were good friends with him. Paul, I think you knew Sean pretty well. Yeah. He obviously, I don't know, what was that, about a year later or so, just suddenly, very tragically passed away. He was a good dude, but yeah, that just hit me a second ago that he was who I was sitting beside, and as Texas is just kind of beating up on Baylor early on, he's like, I just remember he kept telling me, just wait. I said, just wait, they're going to screw this up. And I'm like, no, dude, they're up by 2 touchdowns. They're not. He's like, no, just wait. You watch, Charlie.
Sure enough.
You just wait. And then sure enough, here comes Lynx Hawthorne running the Wildcat. Here comes Baylor. And then here comes Johnny breaking off that long run and then fumbling that, almost.
I was right there.
Yeah, almost brought him all the way back. So I just remember that vividly. And Sean just talking about how he predicted it and then was just so surprised there at the end.
The story of his life with Charlie Strong. The year they beat Baylor and Oklahoma. Coming up next, Tom Flores. One quick high school note. Because no spring drills and no spring game, I just talked to Scott Stewart at Temple. They're going to be able to start when everybody else does. The 5As and 6As, that first practice in August, if in fact they start in August. And also that opens them up to have 2 scrimmages, not just the one, which is different. And, of course, everything changes. When we come back, Tom Flores, 2-time Super Bowl head football coach on Sikkim 365 Radio.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-through open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's Group meal.
Next in line.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Plunkett on a straight drop back. Here comes the rush. Steps up. Can't find anybody yet. Takes off running to the left. Rolls on the move. And it's caught by King at the 40. Takes off to the 50. Get all the way.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Think about this, of how many players, coaches, assistants, or head coaches have been a part of Super Bowls but have never been able to win the ring. And then you know of Tom Flores as a player, as an assistant coach, and also twice as the head coach of the Oakland Raiders, LA Raiders. And Coach Flores, who I think should be in Pro Football's Hall of Fame for many reasons, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio with Paul, Craig, and I'm David. Coach, thank you very much. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. Do you feel like coaches now that are having to change, there's no off-season, so to speak. How much off-season did you have back when you played, or even early on in coaching? Did you have much off-season as well?
Well, when I played back in the early years of the American Football League, and the National Football League was the same way. As soon as the last game was over, you disappeared. You went home and they didn't see you or you didn't see them, meaning they, the coaches, and the management until training camp the following year. There was no off-season camps. There were no. We didn't even have a facility to work out in when I was with Oakland. So we had to work out on our own and show up out of shape and try to get in shape during the course of the season, the preseason. When I was coaching, by that time, when I started coaching in 1972, we did have some rookie camps and veteran camps, and but still no real hard discipline type of off-season camps, weightlifting and stuff like that. So that has all come now. When as soon as they started that the off-season, there was no time off. There was no off-season anymore. This year it's going to be a bizarre feeling for these guys because they're having an off season, but yet they're in front of their computers to try to create some way to get some of the same stuff done that is always impossible to do.
You were with the Raiders when Al Davis was really, putting his, kind of just creating that style of play. What was that like to be there, with him while he was doing that, and it's something that even Mark Davis and the Raiders still have a little bit of that in there, where they're going to have a little bit of, when the players they pick are always kind of Raiders guys, even today.
Well, tradition is tradition, and when John Gruden came to the Raiders the first time, Al was there, and so he learned a lot from Al as far as the Raider traditions. They unfortunately it didn't work out for them, but John did do a pretty good job getting them back in the playoffs his first time around. And he's managed to keep some of that the strategy, the theory. Mark Davis was just a little kid when I played, but Al was he liked to throw the ball. He liked it wide open. He liked to put the ball downfield, throw the backside of the backfield, throw the tight ends, all of that stuff that became kind of a natural thing in later years. In fact, nowadays it's a passing league. Teams come out throwing the ball. Very first play of the game, they throw the ball. They don't stop till the last play of the game. And Al learned a lot of his from Sid Gilman back in the days when he was with the Chargers. And he taught me a lot of that, and I liked what he did. And being a quarterback, you're going to like that kind of a style. And it's maintained over the years, little pieces out, just like Bill Walsh's West Coast offense. They call it all the time. It all started a long time before that. But Bill Walsh picked up some and then put his own thumbprint on his style.
Coach, I don't know how much you may have seen of The Last Dance, of the Bulls documentary that's been airing on ESPN the last few weeks, but it's led to a lot of sports writers out there to say, hey, who would be interesting to take a look at in this same style of documentary? And one of the eras that I see most often brought up is the 70s and 80s Raiders. The people would love to see a Last Dance documentary on the Raiders. How interesting do you think a series on that time period in Raiders history would be?
Well, it would be... you might have to X-ray some of the training camps. And I don't want any part of the training camps. Well, I mean, it would be exciting. It would be interesting. The real avid sports fan likes that kind of stuff. But the guys that really seem to like it the most are the former players, the alumni. Anybody that's ever played the game, they can identify with a lot of the stuff that goes on in locker rooms, road trips, etc. So they could, those are the people that really like it. And then for pure entertainment, you have to Hollywoodize it a little bit, and that's when you lose a little bit, I think.
Well, I'm just thinking of names off the top of my head. I don't have a roster in front of me, but I'm 61, Coach, so I do remember those years pretty. John Matuzak, the late Lyle Alzado, Ted Hendricks. I mean, my goodness, that would have been amazing.
In the article, they actually bring up a list, says Kenny the Snake, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, Jake Tatum, Dave Casper, Jack Tatum, excuse me, that was a misprint on their part. Skip Thomas, Gene Upshaw, Howie Long, Matuzak. I mean, just the list goes on and on.
Yeah, the list goes on with a lot of great players, along with characters, some suspect character, some crazy wild. I mean, it was kind of an interesting group of guys that that I played with, and then later coached. And people say, "Well, how do you handle that?" Well, I was one of them. I was the sane one.
Yeah, absolutely. You were the first minority coach, and I hate even using the term because you won a Super Bowl, but you're the first minority head football coach to win a Super Bowl. Have you heard some of what the NFL is trying to do, and how would you correct what they were hoping to do with the Rooney Rule to have more minority head football coaches and also management personnel?
Well, I don't know. To me, I'm on the outside now because I'm not in those meetings where they're discussing this kind of stuff. But you've got to have new coaches every year. You got to have young coaches coming in every year. You got to do a better job with the young coaches coming in as interns, perhaps, and maybe a better job as coming in the interns in the front office and in management, so that the owners or the people that do the hiring get to know them a lot better than just popularity. Because a guy was a good football player doesn't mean he's going to be a good coach. Doesn't mean he's going to be a good GM. You learn that by getting inside that person's mind. But the thing that really bothers me is a little bit. I don't want somebody coming and knock on my door and tell me that you got to hire these guys.
Yeah.
One of these guys. I don't like that. I'm the owner. It's my team. I paid right now. I paid $2 billion for this team, and you're going to tell me who I can hire? And I'm not being against racial hiring, but I don't think you should put a quota on any kind of hiring.
We're talking to Tom Flores, four-time, think about that, Paul, four-time Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs, the team that beat Minnesota and the Purple People Eaters, and then, of course, is an assistant coach under John Madden, and then is twice as head coach with the Raiders, beating Philadelphia, and then what was a very powerful Redskins team in 1983. Paul?
Coach, I was just kind of going through some of your rosters for later on in your coaching career. Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson, James Lofton, Todd Christensen, we mentioned Howie Long, Matt Millen, Mike Haynes, Van McElroy is a Baylor guy. When you guys had kind of a knack for drafting at that time, what was always your look when you were drafting a player? What was the key for you when you said this guy is a Raider, we want him?
Well, first of all, he had to be fast. If he's it depends on position. As a wide receiver, he had to have speed. As a tight end, we wanted a tight end with speed and size. Obviously, everybody wants one, but it was hard. You didn't see a lot of guys like that in those days. You know, the track men that became football players were very few. We did that with Cliff Branch, and we hit the jackpot with him. But it took him 3 years before he got comfortable in that position, because he didn't play in college. Marcus Allen was a player right off the bat. I mean, there was no question. He was a player, and the USC had a semi-half-pro type of running game. But running backs are running backs. You know, they can come in and play right away because, you give them the ball, they know how to run with it. Receivers are a little different. Nowadays, it's changed even more so because you have to let them run. You can't hit them at the line of scrimmage and grab a hold of them. So there's a lot of restrictions now, but it's a wide open game right now, and it's fun to watch, and it's made for TV. There's no other sport that fits TV like football.
Coach, Al Davis, even having long passed now, is still a figure that gets people buzzing and talking and remembering stories and things like that from the NFL's past. For you, when you think of the name Al Davis, what comes to mind? And is there any great mischaracterization out there or something that maybe people get wrong about Al when they talk about him?
Well, when you think of him, you think of a very kind of he was an anti-establishment. I mean, he was for the game of football. He loved the game of football, and he did everything he could to make the game better. Now, in doing so, he had to cross paths with a lot of different types of owners. Some that didn't like him, coaches that didn't like him, because he was not for everybody in the way that mannerism, the way he did things. But he was when he joined the Raiders, and then from there, he was my coach. And then he became the commissioner of the AFL. And then when the merger came, he came right back to the Raiders. And then from then on, he was out with his team, and he became an owner and became the majority owner eventually. And his team, that was his team. He lived and died for that team and the game of football. Because I can remember talking to him about football, and he wasn't looking to try to teach anybody, try to do this and try to do that, but he always was looking for the edge when it was on the field, scouting, etc. And he had a certain design in mind and a certain type of player and a certain type of team, and he got it. He couldn't always get it right, but nobody can. There's always mistakes made along the way, but he was, we became very close. When you talk about misconceptions, he was a very loyal guy to the game and to his players and to his friends. A lot of stuff you never hear about.
You obviously were a part of so much success. Your record in the playoffs, Coach Flores with us on Sikkim 365 Radio, was 8-3, the first wild card team to win a Super Bowl, and you rolled right through it in Blitzkrieg, Philadelphia. I mentioned the win against what was a very, very powerful Washington team, 38-9. Marcus Allen goes nuts on the run. What was it about the postseason that made you even more special than the regular season?
We knew how to play that. We knew how to play the game. We knew how to coach it. We knew how to travel you know, we knew how to go into the playoffs and have your team peak. It didn't always work, but sometimes you just weren't good enough, and sometimes you had injuries here and there. But when we got the type of team that we wanted, when we were hot, we got into. When we rolled into the Super Bowl that '83 year against the Redskins, and we blew everybody in the playoffs out. I mean, there was we beat Pittsburgh, then we beat Seattle, then we beat the Redskins, and the Redskins had just broken the scoring record. And the one thing I was worried going into that game, could we hold these guys? Because we had played them earlier in the year and without Marcus, and they had beaten us by 2 or 3 points in the last 30 seconds of the game, 35 to 34 or something like that. And we couldn't stop them. But our defense really peaked at that time. And you look at that 1983 Super Bowl team of ours, defensively, I think we had 8 guys on defense that made the Pro Bowl.
Wow. Greg, anything else?
Yeah.
We should have won. We should have won, right?
yeah, right.
Jack Squirick's the one that made the huge play, right? The interception of Theismann, it kind of just broke their back.
Well, let me tell you about that one, too, because, you know, in the preseason, we're playing them, and right before the half, they're about midfield, and they come up with a short punt. Same type of situation, except where they were. They were on midfield or their side of the midfield area. And they ran the same screen to the right side. And they ran, and they caught it, and when Washington went all the way down to inside the 5-yard line, and they ended up scored right before the half. So here we are later in the year. We're in the Super Bowl, and it's right before the half. This time they're backed up on their side of the field, and they have the same formation. They run the same screen to the left side. Well, having studied them and played them before, and Charlie Sumner was our defensive play caller and coordinator, and somebody reminded him about that, and so he sent Jack Squirick in the game for Matt Millen and said, "We're going to play zone, but you lock Joe Washington. You play him man-to-man. Everybody else is playing zone." And Matt Millen had to come out. Matt Millen was screaming and yelling. That's the way Matt was. He hated to come out of the game for anything. He didn't like to come out of the game. He didn't like to go to the locker room for halftime. He just loved the game. And he's on the sideline. He's griping and moaning, and all of a sudden Jack Spark intercepts. And from yelling and screaming to Charlie Sumner, instead he picked him up in the air and almost threw him over his shoulder. He was so happy. So it went from anger to wow, and then euphoria, and that just killed him right before the half. That just totally killed him.
Coach, before we let you go, obviously the Raiders moving to Las Vegas this year. Big move from Oakland, and they've bounced around before, obviously. But just what are your thoughts as a Raiders legend on the team putting its roots down in Las Vegas?
I don't know. I mean, I have mixed emotions about that. I'm old-fashioned. So I started out in Oakland in 1960 when our training camp was in Santa Cruz, California, and we had 11 quarterbacks the first day of training camp. And only 2 were going to make it. So it was a bus coming and a bus going and a bus playing the game. And so we were Raiders, and we had survived the move to L.A., but L.A. was like moving, across town, really. And we were accepted there. And but this is a little different. This is permanent. We're finally getting the stadium they wanted. I would have preferred to stay in Oakland. Even Mark Davis said that earlier in this whole thing started, but they couldn't come up with anything. So I feel badly for the Oakland people, and I'm just hoping that they're able to maintain a lot of what they started and what became traditional and legend for them. The black hole, the intimidation of the stadium visiting teams. The tailgates. I mean, it was just one thing after another. it was just magic on Sundays, and then Sundays looked like Halloween because of the way everybody dressed. And it was a scary place to go in, but once you got in there, it wasn't that scary.
Coach, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Hope you're staying safe and sound and being able to just kind of enjoy right now the whatever we're going to have down the road here when it comes to possibly sports again. Thank you very, very much. You're a class act. You always have been, and we appreciate your time.
Well, David, Paul, and Craig, thank you very much. And there's no place to go. I can't get out of the house.
Yeah. We're gonna start having you every day then.
Yeah, the soccer game. Please, this is like a road trip for me.
Thank you, Tom Flores, man. That's great. You know, he started out with a Salinas football team. He was like, I don't know if that was semi-pro. I didn't ask him that. But then eventually the Raiders, the Bills, the Chiefs, he was on that team that Len Dawson, Otis Taylor, and those guys who upset Minnesota. And then, of course, the long tenure as coach with the Raiders as assistant and head coach. And then he had that little stint with Seattle after about a 5-year layoff.
So I know we have John McClain coming up a little bit later on. Have you all ever asked him about Tom Flores in particular, why he's not in the Hall of Fame? Because that seems to be one of the more egregious.
His record, his overall head coaching record is 91 and like 87. His record in the playoffs is 8-3, 2 Super Bowl wins. He won it as an assistant, and he's kind of in a special category. And I think that the fault will be, well, his overall head coaching record is very average.
Yeah, but that's like the only thing you can point to, and the other categories that typically you go, well, like you got to check these boxes. He checks those.
Well, we'll ask John. He'll be on with us at 5:30. Coming up next, Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades on Sikkim 365 Radio.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Hi, this is Steve Huff, head football coach, College Station High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support our community through this crisis. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at IdealMRI.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Ready to get outside? Go where you want to go in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. Get employee pricing plus for all on new 2020 Gladiators and Wranglers. Put yourself in a new 2020 Grand Cherokee, Compass, Cherokee, or Renegade with 0% for 72 and no payments for up to 120 days. Let's go! Allen Samuels is ready to do business in person or online. Drive forward in a Jeep from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue.
Next in line.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, and Ben Erlinson. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
And don't forget Cam Heathcott now joining the Edward Jones Group with a sponsorship of Sikkim 365 Radio. We're now joined by Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. Paul, Craig, David, Dylan Chapman running the mothership as well. So did Ole Miss jump the gun announcing your game was on Sunday, Labor Day?
I believe they did. I don't think that has been confirmed by anyone, including Baylor University. So probably jumped the gun.
So it took 2 years.
Yeah, it took so long for you guys to even.
It took from the time you walked on the campus until finally I think ESPN announced it for us to get confirmation. So that was just boom, bam. Like, I'm sure you had fun with that.
Oh, yeah. Well, if I can remember correctly, and sometimes I don't, but I think you guys ask me about the Ole Miss game every other week.
That's true.
That's
true. It was okay. Just to be fair, that's not us. We knew you were going to tell us, but most of the listeners said, "Please ask him about Ole Miss." Yeah. They want to know.
Yeah. Always the listeners.
Yeah.
Always the listeners.
That's Mack Rhoades for today. We're done.
Yeah.
All right. So let me ask you this. If our game's played the first weekend in September, and if it is, whether it's Ole Miss on Labor Day or whenever it is, do you think there would be fans if that game is scheduled to be played in a city the size of Houston?
Yeah, right now, I do. And today is 19th. And so you still have, the entire month of June and July and August. So, 90 plus days away. And, my sense is, where we're headed, how we're headed, that we would play in front of fans. Now, is it, max capacity? Is there some, percentage of capacity that is allowed into NRG Stadium? That probably, remains to be seen and is probably, an option. And I think it's, something that, we're all thinking about, not just, any neutral site games, but our home games as well, in terms of, are we going to be able to play with full capacity, or we're going to need to, to modify that somehow, some way. So, you're seeing some of that go on right now today. If you walk into restaurants or, you go into other places, right? Every other table is crossed off and can't sit there, et cetera. Again, this idea of trying to mitigate the spread, the risk of spread, I should say, and continuing to, practice social distancing. So we'll see. I think, man, I think the Ole Miss game is a really important game for all of us. I think it's probably going to end up being much more than just a football game. It's going to be maybe a step toward at least some normalcy, or near normalcy, and I think it will be a step toward community and bringing people together again. And I certainly don't want to jump the gun. Obviously, doing that in a very, very safe way, safe manner, making sure that it's safe, obviously, for our student athletes, but also our coaches, our staff, our fans. So, I'm hoping that yeah, we're playing whether that's Saturday, Sunday, but sometime during the Labor Day weekend against Ole Miss in Houston at NRG Stadium.
Last week when we talked to you, kind of getting the feeling, especially, places, conferences in the West Coast and cities in the West Coast were kind of extending their shutdowns, and it was going to make it really difficult for sports to happen anywhere. Now it appears, especially like California is opening up to pro sports. Is there more encouragement this week because of the pro sports opening up to give you guys the roadmap than there was the same time we talked to you last week?
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair statement, Paul. I think it's a little bit more positive. I think maybe we have a little bit more sense of clarity in what this looks like. I think conferences, certainly the Big 12, but other conference football bowl subdivision conferences, including the A5s, right? I think we're working really hard to try to move forward. Certainly within each conference together, all members institutions together. You may see, conferences move forward together. So I think, probably, we, the Big 12, are close to making a decision in terms of when we return, our student athletes and how we do that. And I think, the SEC is probably, right at the similar place that we are. I think, the A5s, the other three A5s are having the similar conversation. So, we're beginning to, again, see maybe light at the end of the tunnel as to when we can maybe begin to phase back all of our student athletes.
Mac, just for clarity's sake, on Ole Miss, you're going to play them first week, NRG Houston, but as far as you're concerned on your end, you have no announcement about the game being moved to Sunday, right?
I really don't, not at this point in time. And, I don't want to be disingenuous with anyone, but it's not my place at this point in time to talk about, any other date whatsoever. Right now we're planning on playing it on Saturday. And if that changes or when we're allowed to announce that, then we'll do that.
Okay, good deal. I just wanted to make sure on that and make sure I got that right. We saw yesterday, Mac, where Notre Dame has announced that they're going to be getting back to it and bringing students back on campus, and they're taking a route that it seems like a lot of others are perhaps going to take as far as moving up the schedule by a couple of weeks, getting done before Thanksgiving. Have you guys had any conversations about something for the reworking of the actual schedule to maybe perhaps, avoid a second wave as we've heard talked about?
Yeah, again, another great question. So we've got a small working group within the Big 12, 5 of us, 5 ADs, and we are really in the process of vetting, the variety of scheduling models, which could include a 9-game schedule, right? You're able to finish before Thanksgiving, etc. Could also include, 12-game. I think right now, our last game is scheduled to end, right? The last game of the season is Thanksgiving weekend. So I think it's important that, whether you play 12 or 9, we still, just for the health and safety of our student athletes, need to have at least the one off week. And so, we'll continue to keep that in mind, right? And then, what are contingency plans if you have to stop, right? And how do you get restarted, right? We're having conversations. What happens if it's Thursday and we're scheduled to go play at Oklahoma, and one of our staff members or one of our student athletes contracts COVID-19? How do you handle that, right? What do you do, right? Mm-hmm. Do you have to test everybody before you get on a plane? Because, theoretically that one individual has come in contact with most of the people within your football program, right? And so those are all of the details and things that we're trying to proactively at least think about. And I don't know that you necessarily can have a specific answer for every one of them, but you certainly can have guidelines and principles in place. And what happens if something happens and there's an outbreak in one of our conference cities, right? And now all of a sudden they can't host a game. What do we do then? Do we bring it back to the other team and share gate, or give them the gate? So I think those are all of the types of conversations, if you can imagine, that we're having right now, and trying to plan as best as we can.
Well, I want to make sure I get this right. The deadline, the SEC, I think, has mentioned June 1st. You've mentioned you're starting to kind of, as a conference, look at. Was there a Big 12 conference? Was it ADs? Was it presidents? Was it who was? Was there a meeting or a conference call yesterday?
Well, the ADs continue to meet. We meet regularly. We meet at minimum once a week, and then recently, we've met with head football coaches. We had our spring meetings. I think now 2 weeks ago with our both basketball coaches and then our head football coaches.
Whoop! We just lost him.
Just lost him.
That sounded like
dropped out.
Yeah,
like
that's
straight up dropped out.
By the way, listen to this story. You try to get him back. Jeff Goodman
That's
just.
all right. All right.
Okay, we got him back. Okay.
This was from 5 hours ago. I know you're trying to squeeze this in.
No, it's Mack Rhoades back with us again about the meetings that football coaches and ADs all the time.
Yeah, so we're meeting regularly, and some of the times our ADs are even or maybe most of the time meeting twice a week. But we've been having this conversation, right? It is the conversation right now within our industry, is when do we bring back student athletes? And so I think right now I think confidently say that the first group of student athletes that we're going to bring back are going to be our football student athletes. Pretty confident in saying that you're not going to be able to onboard all 100, 120 football student athletes on the same day. You're going to have to do it 30 to 55 student athletes a day, right? Just because of the medical screening, the testing, all of those things. And then I think there'll be, an undefined, and to be defined period of time between bringing football back and then your fall sports, right? And, probably, 2 weeks, if not, maybe a little bit more in terms of between your football student athletes and your fall sport student athletes. And then finally, some period of time again, more than likely 2 weeks, and then you bring on your other sports, your other student athletes. And so, that idea of this phased plan, this phased onboarding plan, I think, is what we're all talking about. And then, there's so many discussions right now about, okay, when's that first group, right? When is that first group of football student athletes? And you've heard publicly, June 1 from some schools, within the SEC. You've heard July 1, right? You've heard June 15th. And I think we're getting closer and closer to finding the right date, based on, the advice, the input from all of our medical directors, again, trying to keep in mind the health and the safety of our student athletes and our staff. And so I would guess here in the next couple days to a week, you'll start to see, maybe some conferences announce, hey, this is when we plan to bring our football student athletes. And again, not for football activity. I think that's the other important point. We're not worried about football activity right now. We'd be bringing football student athletes back for voluntary workouts, right? For strength and conditioning. I think the football activity piece more than likely will be legislated for us, and I don't see that happening anytime sooner than July 1 or thereafter. So, and my gut is, hey, if I had to pick a date right now, I would certainly, at least my opinion would be, no sooner than June 15th to bring back to start that process by bringing back your football student athletes.
Mac, thank you very much. We appreciate you so much for being a part of the show on Tuesdays. I know a ton of people love this segment with you, and we do too. So thanks for your time and stay safe.
All right, you guys do the
I'm
same.
sorry, Craig.
Appreciate you.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Mac, I was just going to ask you, and I apologize if I've asked something similar before, but I just had the thought we were seeing the, I guess, spending increase across the board in recruiting across college athletics over the last few years to the point where we were getting, school-colored waterfalls and just all of these bells and whistles. And I know that you guys do need a football field house, and there are needs like that. But as far as like the over-the-top sort of excess we started to see from programs in some cases, do you think COVID is going to be part of that sort of changing in college athletics moving forward?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to slow down. I really do. I just think the economic pressures that every campus is faced with, every president, every chancellor is faced with, and I just, again, think that we're going to all have to be very thoughtful and careful in terms of the way we spend our money. And, right now, and again, we're all on a level playing field. So I get an understanding, but what Coach Aranda and the staff are doing right now, my hat's off to them. They're doing such a great job, and, they're doing it all virtually, through Zoom and all of that. And so, again, to answer your question, I do think it slows down.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate your time. Craig, sorry about that. Thank you. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on Tuesdays at 4:20. We'll have Dejani Carrington. She'll be joining us here momentarily, the young lady that transferred or will sign and eventually transfer to Baylor. I wanted to get this one college note, and I didn't see this until now. Jeff Goodman had the note that SF have multiple sports, including men's basketball, serve a postseason ban due to falling under the APR threshold. That was due to an administrative error in academic certification process. The men's basketball team, which would have been dangerous as hell this past March, will still have a chance to compete in the postseason this coming year, but in 2 years. And that's going to affect the recruiting if you're not going to be a part of the postseason.
So they say that again about the postseason ban.
They will be banned. Stephen F. Austin, postseason ban due to failing or falling under the APR threshold was the academic threshold. Sources told the Stadium it was due to an administrative error. Men's basketball will serve the ban in 2021-22. So they'll not this coming season, following season. This is 2021. 28-3 had the win against Duke. They would have been dangerous in the tournament. That's bizarre. But Kansas,
they never do anything wrong. They're clean as a whistle.
That's, I'll tell you, I can say this now. Before Colby Carthel was there at SFA, you have no idea, unless you probably were a part of SFA, the kind of mismanagement of a lot of things that were going on that was a disaster in some ways when it comes to academics. So this might have been something that's a carryover. I don't know. When we come back, Dejani Carrington. She's from Stanford. She's about to be from Baylor. Former McDonald's All-American, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Right now they have the Buick Encores, a.k.a. the perfect crossover SUV. It has a quiet ride, a roomy interior, and it is packed with safety features and the latest technology. Right now, all 2020 Buick Encores are in stock, 0% for 84 months for qualified buyers, plus $1,250 in savings, or save $6,000 and drive off in a Buick Encore for only $19,900. Richard Carr Motors is currently overloaded with used cars and trucks. Over 120 now in stock. They must move some of these vehicles now, and Richard Carr has over 30 used trucks in stock, all at low inventory overload prices. Great prices, multiple options, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service all comes with your purchase at Richard Carr GMC Buick Richard Carr Motors remains the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business, so stop by the daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or if you're a little bit hesitant, they will bring the test drive to your home because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr.com or Highway 6, the Imperial exit.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
Live crawfish is back. The 30-pound bags of live crawfish, as delicious as you can imagine, back at Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco. $3 a pound, 30-pound live crawfish bags are available. You order by Thursday at noon. You can pick up your customized order anytime on Friday afternoon until 6 p.m. And the drive-thru now open at Waco Custom Marketplace Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can still order what you want from their butcher shop, including beef and poultry, seafood, and also pork. And, of course, their bakery. You can order from their bakery. You can go online, WacoCustomMarketplace.com, or go by the drive-thru. Waco Custom Marketplace, live crawfish available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6.
It's been tough. Sitting in isolation, rarely getting out, neglected, unimportant, naked. Hi, this is Jay from Pickup Outfitters, and I'm talking about the forgotten casualty in this mess, your truck. It's been waiting patiently for you during this crisis, waiting for some sign that it's okay to get out again. At Pickup Outfitters, we believe that no truck should be left behind, and that it's time to reward your truck for sticking with you during these difficult times. So we're announcing the End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package. Benefits designed to outfit your truck so that it's ready to get out in public again. All toolboxes $25 off plus free install. All RKI heavy-duty toolboxes $75 off plus free install. All receiver hitches get a free ball mount. All gooseneck and fifth wheel hitches receive a free plug in the bed with install. $300 off ARE camper shells. Call or come by our Pickup Outfitters showroom and help us make your truck feel wanted again. Or check out our End Truck Nudity Stimulus Package on our website, createacommotion.com/stimulus.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Chloe Jackson, Taya Cooper, and now eventually Dejanay Carrington from Stanford, a part of the Lady Bears transfer right now parade that they've had, a guard out of Stanford, McDonald's All-American. We had Tim Brown on last Thursday. Apparently Tim Brown is Dejanay's godfather. She now joins us live on Sikkim 365 Radio. What's it been like? Thanks for your time, first of all. What's it been like since you announced your decision to transfer to Baylor?
Yeah, thank you for allowing me to be on here. But it's exciting. Lots of social media things going on. I haven't officially signed yet, so Baylor can't post it officially, but it's been crazy.
You've gotten a taste, I guess, of the Lady Bear fan, Baylor fan, Lady Bears Nation, right?
A little bit, yeah. I didn't know they had such a great following on social media.
They're very rabid. What was it about Coach Mulkey's program that made you make the decision to make the jump?
I think it was just a feeling that I had. I felt so comfortable, and I really felt like they would have my back, and I felt like it was a true family in my conversation with them. And I'm super excited. I haven't been to their facilities yet or met the team or anything in person, but I feel like it's going to be just an easy transition for me as far as relationship-wise, and just going to have to get ready for the basketball side.
Dejanay, had you talked with Kim Mulkey prior to this? Had she maybe recruited you previously? Was there any, I guess, pre-existing relationships? And I guess either way, just sort of how did this particular conversation about you heading to Baylor for this last year, how did that sort of, the wheels go and get into motion for that?
No, they hadn't recruited me out of high school. So this was my first real interaction as far as like a conversation with the Baylor staff and anything like that. I played against Baylor twice in my college career. My sophomore, my junior year, we played Baylor. So that's really the only interaction I've ever had with the program. But I just, when I entered the portal, Coach Messer had emailed me, and she emailed me again because I hadn't replied. And then I was like, okay, I'll email them back. And obviously it's worked out so far.
Well, you were obviously highly recruited, and playing at Stanford, there's like a handful of the elite women's basketball programs. So you're used to what you have been and where you've been, and also with what Baylor has done. What did you notice about them when you played against them?
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to go from an elite program to another elite program. It won't have to be I won't be super shell shocked by that. But I don't know. I think they're a completely different team now than when I played them, because when we played them, it was Kalani Brown, Lauren Cox at the 4 and the 5, and this year it's going to be shorter and I think more athletic players at the 4 and the 5, and so I think it's going to be completely different.
Do you think that Baylor transfer guards are going to be like Lincoln Riley quarterbacks at Oklahoma? Is that going to be the new thing?
It's a great question.
I don't know. Look, I know it's been a great line of guard transfers so far, so I hope to continue that.